I was thinking about the end of Act 1.
Yeah.
Because when I saw it last week, it really, I've just loved that.
Tell me about it. What's your take on it?
My take is that I thought that position that you're both in right then sort of exactly represents what's happened up to that point. You see him in this like not exactly the worst you see him, but in a really bad state because he tears up that letter and
he's definitely in a darker state as well. I think that was
like
a purposeful choice.
He's gone down and you've gone up ready for him to come up with you.
That is definitely the point you have analysed it correctly. Obviously it's different when you're on stage, you don't get to see that picture, but I am definitely aware through the technical process and even being in it that Jerusha is in a much brighter light and he is in a much duller sort of a slightly burnt orangey light, which I think does represent that sort of thing.
Because there's a orangey to blue. It's really striking.
Yeah. Well, he's basically, you end up one and he's in turmoil, not sure what to do next and how to approach the next part of their journey together. And she's sort of excited / nervous / determined to find out who this elusive character is.
It makes me laugh is the first thing that we see that she says that's positive at all, which is caused by the shadow of Daddy Longlegs. Then the first thing he says is what makes me chuckle.
Yeah.
And that's at the idea of him being old. So again, it's at this character that's in both of their heads of Daddy Longlegs because she's put it in his head, and that's what sparks a joy for both of them initially. I thought that was quite cool.
A figment of her imagination affects them both.
Yeah.
Kind of in parallel ways, I think. It's very important. She really untangles all the knots of his past, really, and allows him to start feeling again.
Without even meaning to, though. That's
she has no idea.
But like the whole and then you'll have to meet me when I'm a trustee at the orphanage.
Yeah.
Like it gets more thought through and more mature, but you can see over those 4 years that's still all she wants, really.
Oh yeah, it's the classic, in the song "Torn You From My Heart." Like she uses excuses to be like, "I ought to let you know that I'm moving." Like she really doesn't need to tell him, but that's the classic thing.
Yeah.
It's almost like a relationship breakup when you know that you probably shouldn't talk to that person, but all you want to do is talk to them. And she does because, it's not in that context to her. He's a father figure, grandfather figure, whatever.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, you're totally right. Like, it's all she ever wanted. He's family. Jervis is, potential love and friendship.
Yeah.
And he's family. And so, without a massive spoiler, having the two combined is such a massive thing. Like, it's something she couldn't even have dreamed of happening.
Yeah.
Because in her head, he is an old man. Like, throughout the whole thing, like, she never goes away from the fact that he's old. So to meet a good-looking man who has a bit of a stiff upper lip, but when he's around her does turn into a little boy, like, as we all do when we're around our people that bring out the best in us. We will revert back to being kids and really silly. So I think that's why. She's highly intelligent, but she's also stubborn. She's really stubborn, and I think when she gets an idea in her head, that's what it is.
It's because she loves Daddy Longlegs, doesn't she?
He's the family she's never had. But it's a different kind of in love. Like, it's like the love you feel for your family.
Yeah, because she's never had a family, and she's finally got this person. I think she's just so in love with the idea of it that she doesn't want to believe anything else.
Yeah, really. And I know that Kirsty was really keen on the fact that, ultimately, like, her having a family is more important to her than her having a love interest.
Yeah.
And so that's why, he always comes first. Daddy Longlegs always comes first, and it's like, yeah. So it's kind of nice. I think their spirits are very kindred, and that's shown throughout the show. Within those moments that aren't necessarily said, where you see that they enjoy similar places, they are uncomfortable in similar situations when they go to the Pendletons for Christmas. And I think that's what allows Jervis to ultimately open up as well, because she's feeling a lot of things that he's always felt.
Yeah, because I suppose he's been almost isolated up to that point because he's been forced to socialise with these people.
And closed off. He lost his mother. At some point he lost his father, and then his fiance.
Ouch.
And so, you know, when those things happen to you, unless you have a good close network around you, you know, it can really affect you and close you off, and you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable, you don't allow yourself to feel things. And what Jerusha does, like, you know, I said earlier, she untangles those knots for him, whether she realises it or not. And he also brings out the best in her.
As an audience, you don't know anything about him, and then one of the things I love is that you just gradually find out how broken he is, and he gets worse and worse, and then right at the point you're like, oh, he's really sad, is when it starts lifting up again, which I think is pretty cool.
But it's kind of that classic thing of he makes it worse for himself.
Yeah.
To the point where all he can do is let go, and at the moment he lets go, that's when it starts flipping round for him. But at that point, that's when Jerusha, who's kind of flown, you know, and matured and graduated and gone through all these different emotions throughout the show, as soon as he lets go, it's quite funny. It's again that sort of classic thing of let go of what you can't control, and generally it will come to you in the way it's supposed to. It's meant for you, won't pass you by. And
the thing, and this is especially within your interpretation of it, because I've seen clips of other bits and I just don't find it the same. But like in Like Other Girls or things like that, it's sad, but then you take that positivity with it, because it's almost like it should be sad, but then Jerusha's sort of going, no, because this is more important, and this is who I am.
Like her brain looks at things and she notices probably the tiniest nuances and the differences in people's tone and their behaviour. And it's that creativity and observation that allows her to be the writer that she becomes.
It's because what Jervis says to her is that, is it Jervis? I think so, that she should write about what she knows, which is what inspires her to write about the orphan asylum. But I guess she's just trying to learn as much as possible and know as much as possible to broaden that and create new things within her stories.
Definitely. My next job after this is Singing in the Rain at the Minute Song. Plug. But basically I got this job, and as soon as I got it I ordered the book, because I'm a bit of a geek like that. Once I, you know, get my teeth into something, I know it full whack. But yeah, so I ordered the book and I started reading it and sort of writing things about the character, highlighting. I mean, there's some beautiful phrases and text in that book, and I will be, when I have children, I will definitely be passing it down to them to read, because I think it's just so gorgeous.
It is.
You can learn some really important things about life from it. But so I was doing that, and then I got the offer through about Singing in the Rain, and they overlapped by a week. It was like a day or two of me waiting to hear from either side if it was okay for me to be able to like commute to rehearsals. And I was like 2/3 of the way through the book, and I just remember being like, oh my goodness, I was like, I really hope everyone's going to say yes, because I've just fallen in love with Jerusha, I've fallen in love with the character in the book, and I really desperately want to do it. And luckily it did all work out, which is good. But
thank the Lord.
Thank the Lord. But yeah, I think I see a lot of myself in Jerusha, and I think many women would, and many men, like, I have to take my hat off to Jayne Webster. I just think, it was kind of autobiographical in parts, so Jerusha is a little bit of her as well. And I think a lot of people can also relate to Jervis in ways, so you can definitely tell that Jayne Webster felt.
It was huge when it came out in America.
Oh yeah.
Because
she was one of the highest paid.
It was adapted into a show in about 2 years.
It didn't do very well.
No, obviously not. But
it didn't do very well, the play.
This is I was researching it when ages and ages ago before the show opened, and they said that it became sort of like a spur on for like a movement of helping out people in orphanages and stuff like that. Apparently there were like Daddy Longlegs toys that they were selling to raise awareness, which I think is really, really interesting. It's
there's a John Grier home in Japan. Jayne Webster, I think at the time she was one of the highest earning writers.
Well, you can see why, really.
But you know, she wrote about what she knew. Wow. Yeah, I know. It's an English lit dream, really. I think it should be introduced at GCSE and A-level.
I get to choose what I get to do for one of my parts.
Do you?
Yeah.
Stop it.
I've got a weird course, so. Yeah.
Sounds great to me.
I get to write like a huge coursework piece on whatever I want.
Really? I think I can guess what it's going to be. Daddy long legs.
I know nothing else better.
It was amazing. I know that both Ryan and I were very impressed with Amelia's analytical skills. If I had been quite as good or vocal about it at 16, you know, I can imagine, I don't know, I think I'd be even better at analysing character now as an actress. You did say like quite a few things that I necessarily hadn't thought of, I think, but it's very interesting you said that everything you said that I portray, because I probably do, but sometimes it's like on a subconscious level, like, because, you know, my process of looking at character is, and it's kind of a college 101 that most actors can probably relate to, is you kind of look through the script, you see what your character's about, his or herself, what stage directions say, what other characters say, and that kind of gives you like a block sort of character analysis that you can then interpret and elaborate on as you wish. And I mean, reading the novel alone gave me so much food for thought for Jerusha that I really kind of didn't need to elaborate. But then through the rehearsal process, there were obviously choices as an actor I made for that character that just felt natural in what I knew of her.
Everyone I've spoken to has just been completely blown away by your interpretation of it, because it doesn't feel like anything you do or say is thrown away. It just feels like everything you've put towards an intention and you've put towards her motives. No, it's serious. We were all like,
compliment taker alert over
wow.
here.
No, because
Thanks,
I think it was what I said to you on the first night I watched it. I just said I've never seen anyone be more alive, because it was like I just knew Jerusha watching it. Whereas before, like in other shows, you have to sort of like go with them and like guess where they're going with it. But I think just because you're so...
Well, I just think she's really honest.
Yeah.
I think she's really honest, and it makes my life quite easy. There is a lot of subtext within some of the stuff she says, and hopefully I portray that. But I think, you know, kind of majoritively, she's very face value and very sort of open, because you know, it's not Dear Diary, it's Dear Daddy, but that is ultimately what it is. And in your diary you write your innermost thoughts, so a lot of them are on the page for me to see and interpret and put out there, but obviously there are intricacies within that. Yeah, I think that's, you know, I don't think I can take full credit for that. I think there's a lot down to Jean Webster,
Definitely.
down to the show itself, and down to that character really. And
well, even from when we were making the video, this is a bit weird, I have 4 songs. I have Oldest Orphan, I have 20 From My Heart, one of Joseph's, and Like Other Girls. And even watching those initially, I was seeing the life within it, I think.
I think it's quite easy in a lot of those songs because they are so beautiful, but I think there could always be a danger when interpreting them for them to sound a bit samey, and especially as the same patterns and the same songs come back again and again.
This is why I'm going to be so sad when you leave, because listening to it I get not as much at all as when I hear you guys sing it.
But there's so much in there, like the songs tell so much of the story that you can't.
Which is why
you can't. You've got to make everything. There's a reason that those words are there, and everything has a gravitas, and it helps the story to move forward. And so it's equally as important as the spoken scenes. I mean, you know, I love singing, but for me, the most important part of singing any song is the meaning and the tension, and the acting behind it. And so without acting within a song, I think you can get some pretty, some really beautiful singing, and still gorgeous songs. But I think, it just needs that. It needs that otherwise.
Yeah.
I could listen to someone sing beautifully, but to me it doesn't affect me at all unless I can see the intention and the feeling behind why they're singing those words.
Exactly.
What causes that character
It's one of my biggest pet peeves.
So time is up, ladies and gentlemen.
This is Becca and Julie then signing off of the first Daddy Long Legs podcast 2019. Thanks for listening. Come see the show. Goodbye.
It's perfect.
Thanks, guys.